We'll start with the big talking point in the world of football today. Chelsea, Roman Abramovich, the sanctions that have been placed on him. Now, I'm not expecting you to talk about the intricacies of the law and what that means for him, but for the football club, for the fans, for the dynamic on a match day, potentially no away fans can be at Stamford Bridge. There will be other sanctions put in place on the football club. They can't re-sign players they wanted to sign potentially this summer. As someone who is a manager in the Premier League, as a football fan, when you look at what's happening to the club and what potentially could happen over the next few days and weeks, how do you assess it?
Well, very difficult, I would say, at the moment. I've literally just come off the training pitch, hence we're a little bit delayed. Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess the reality is we're in a really terrible situation in terms of the conflict over there, and then the government has to do what it thinks it should do, and it must be for the people at Chelsea, it must be really difficult. There's nothing else to say, of course. There's levels of difficulty. It's difficulty. The people in suffering from war is horrific. It's a really bad situation. And obviously, yeah, I haven't really got anything else to add other than it's worrying times, I think, for everybody.
Looking at Brighton now, clearly things haven't been going so well recently. What have you done, or what can you do to try and change the direction of recent form? Because, you know, you've had such a great season in so many ways. What can you do on the training pitch? What can you do with team bonding? Is there anything at all you've perhaps changed this week to try and change the fortunes of the club around?
No, I don't think it's as simple as just doing something for the sake of it. You know, I think it's about being consistent, analysing what's happened, trying to improve, be honest with the assessment of the games. Like I said, I think the Newcastle performance was actually quite good. Certainly in comparison to Burnley and certainly in comparison to Aston Villa, there was steps in the right direction. Manchester United was a you know, we punished for a mistake. Cristiano Ronaldo finishes it in an incredible action, and then we're down to 10 men. So, as I said after the game, pretty quickly you're in a situation where the lens is we've lost 4, and it's obviously disappointing, and rightly so. So our job is to see this period out, to stick together as a group, as a team, learn from it. Sometimes, as much as we want to win, you need a bit of pain to grow as a team and grow as a club. So we have to use it in that regard, and then look forward to the game on Saturday, which is as good a game as you're going to get, I think.
This season has been so positive and progressional as a club and for the team. How important is it that you finish the season in the way you started, so that this season isn't looked back upon as, well, we only finished 16th. You look back upon it and go, that was a really pivotal season because it showed the way the club had progressed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important in terms of that's what we want to do. We want to finish as high as we can. We want to finish with as many points as we can. I think that's natural. And then I think you've always got to assess how things are. You've got to look at everything. There's all sorts of bits of information out there that you can look to assess. Okay, are we making progress? What's been happening? But at the moment, our focus is on just the next game. So that's the most important thing for us. And then, like you say, at the end of the season, okay, we'll assess it then. But focus on the next match. Try to get 3 points against one of the best teams in the world.
Let's talk about the team news ahead of that Liverpool game. What's the latest with a few players you're concerned about?
Only Adam Webster is the one still away. So I think everybody else is going to be available for selection.
And in terms of Liverpool, does them losing in the Champions League in the week show you and your players that, as great a team as they are, they're still not unbeatable?
Well, I think even Jurgen would say that Liverpool aren't unbeatable. I think that's fair to say. What they are, though, is, said, one of the best teams in the world, and they've played at an incredible level for a consistent amount of time now. So huge respect for them, for Jurgen, for his staff, for his players, because what they've achieved alongside Manchester City in terms of pushing the level of the Premier League up consistently has been incredible. I think they do it in a really impressive way, clear identity, teams developed, teams worked over a period of time. They've got a great understanding now. So I always like playing against Liverpool because they're of the best, and it's very rare that in anything in life you get to face the best. So you should look at it as a massive challenge and a huge opportunity.
In your analysis on Liverpool, how much do you enjoy that challenge? You know, when you sort of sit down at the beginning of the week with your team and think, right, let's find a way to beat Liverpool. How much do you enjoy that process?
Well, I think that's a great thing about being in the Premier League. You know, you get that every week because that's the level of the competition. We're ambitious, but at the same time we're Brighton Hove Albion. So every game is a difficult game. It's a tough game against good players, good coaches. But clearly, without being disrespectful to the Premier League, there's a level above, which is I put Liverpool certainly in that category. So, as I said in my previous answer, in life you don't get the chance in your profession to compete and test yourself against the best very often. So I think you have to look at it in that regard and take it on as positively as you can.
Thank you.
Hi Graham, good
Hi.
afternoon. When you look at the performance in St James's Park, what do you think was potentially missing for a better result?
Well, I think we conceded goals, which is a problem in any game of football, and the manner of the goals wasn't like us, I would say. I thought we actually started the game well at St James's Park in terms of up to the first goal. We're attacking quite well, and then from the edge of their box they end up scoring, and that isn't like us. So, and goals change games of football. So the lens of the game is we lost, so there must be lots of things wrong. But actually, if you analyse the performance over the 90 minutes, there's lots of things well. So we have to do better in those situations. Again, when you're down in the scoreline, teams of course defend with more. They have more to fight for, more to hang on for, which means it's harder for you to create chances, harder for you to build your attacks as well. But I thought we did it quite well. So the performance was in the right step. We need to obviously improve again if we're going to get anything at the weekend.
And what has been the spirit within the team in the last few days after the Newcastle defeat and ahead of the Liverpool clash this weekend?
The spirit's been good. The boys are really good here. Honest bunch of players that are obviously disappointed with the results that we've had, which is normal. You'd be surprised if that was any different. But they come and they want to try and improve. They want to stick together. They want to support each other. There's good competition from places. Only Adam not available, so good options. So we've had a good week.
A Liverpool defeat against Inter, different opposition, different competition, but do you look at their performance against West Ham as well and think there are certain areas we could potentially take advantage of?
Well, again, in any team, in any league, as much as anybody's the respect I have for Liverpool, everyone's got areas that they are a little bit weaker than others, or in relation to themselves. I mean, no one's perfect. That's how it is, and that's what the beauty of football is. There's a lot of imperfection. It's just they have less of it than the rest of us, so it's harder for you to find it. And even if you do, it still means that you've got to perform and execute as close to perfect as you can. So that's the double challenge, that when you face the best. And like I said, you have to look at the points tally that they've got over the last few years, look at the competitions that they've competed in and winning. It tells you that you're one of the best teams in the world that you face. So that's really exciting.
Thank you.
No problem.
Graham, I know it's been a long layoff, but Enoch and Wepu, having him back in contention, how much of a boost is that, and to have him back in the fold?
Yeah, he's trained this week, so that's really good for him. Obviously, we need to look at his minutes and his time on the pitch, but the fact that he's training with us and involved in the group is great news.
Another player, Tariq Lamptey, you sort of used him in so many different ways this season. He seems to be playing very high up the pitch, pretty much as a midfielder at the moment. Where do you see his role at the moment in terms of full-back, wing-back, right midfield, wherever it is? I mean, I know he's an adaptable player.
Yeah, I suppose it's using his attributes as well as we can based on the game we want to play. So sometimes we've used him high, and sometimes maybe even one of the highest players. I can think of the Chelsea games, for example, where we've used him as a wing back but very pushed on, so he's attacking the back line, and ultimately Tariq needs to be doing that, needs to be threatening the opposition defenders as much as he can. Some games you can do that from right back, sometimes you can do it from left, from right wing back, sometimes it can be a little bit higher. So the fact that he's so open-minded, the fact that he's so ready to help the team makes it easy for me. It's just finding out the right solution for him.
I know sometimes when we talk to you, you don't always think about previous results and that was a different time. But after sort of a run of defeats, do you think perhaps go back to that second half at Liverpool at Anfield and what was perhaps one of the best 45 minutes of football that your team's ever played under your tenure?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. I mean, I think...
Would you play it back to the players maybe and say, this is how good you can be?
No, we haven't done that. No, I think the boys understand the level that they can get to. But, you know, the challenge is every game is different, every opposition is different, and part of the challenge is you've got to get to that level as much as you can. And clearly they're not robots, they're human beings, so that you've got ups and downs, things happen in life and football. But I think that game was a really interesting, really good game. We were 2-0 down, but actually we were doing all right in the game. I think we had a couple of chances actually. Hit the post, Solly was clean through. They had a goal disallowed to make it 3-0, which would probably been, you know, curtains for us. And then all of a sudden we're back 2-1, and then it's a great second half. We could have won it. Brilliant game of football, I thought, from both teams. And I think that's what I like playing Jurgen's teams. You know, it's a proper game, and both teams want to be themselves, both teams want to attack, both teams want to play. So it's going to be, yeah, a good game, hopefully.
In that game, you didn't really play a recognised number 9. Leandro was sort of playing it as a false 9, maybe, or however you want to describe it. Does that come into your thinking again, potentially against the same opposition?
Well, I think you have to think of all sorts of things when you're playing against these teams, because they've got a qualitative advantage over you just by the fact that they've just got better players and better coach, and you know they're just at another level above us. So it's not. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody at Brighton Hove Albion when I say that. It's more out of respect for Liverpool. That's the fact. So you've got to either play really well, or you've got to play really well. They've got to have a bit of an off day, and you've still got to be lucky. And you've got to try and use whatever advantage you can to try and get the result. And so therefore, anything like that, if you think that it's going to help, again, it's more about whether the players can execute and whether they feel comfortable doing it. It's not about just playing a game on the board, and because it's easier playing on a tactic board than it is at Anfield or at the Amex against Liverpool. But we'll try our best.
You mentioned the Amex, of course, being at home. I know the home form hasn't been what you want it to be, but that could be an asset that could work in your favour this weekend. Well,
we hope so. I mean, it's on us to play well. I think the better we play, the easier it is for the crowd to get behind us and support us. I mean, I think it's a nice time kick-off. Hopefully everybody's ready up for the game. It's a great game. You know, there's one thing about the journey that this club's been on and where it's come from. I think games at home against, as I said, one of the best teams in the world is a fantastic. If you've got a ticket, well done. Enjoy the game, and then hopefully help us to get 3 points.